Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the afternoon session here for round 8 of the Daniel Ricciardo series at a very sunny Hooton Park here in Cheshire. The drivers have just 2 races to go in the 2019 season. We'll be starting this afternoon with the Prix Grand Prix in DRS62, DRS100 and DRS125, and then in the DRS62 and 100 class, we've got the Federation Cups before the Grand Prix themselves in all 3 classes. It's been a fantastic 2019 season, and it's come down to this final afternoon. Let's go and have a chat with a couple of the drivers set to go out in Prix Grand Prix A in DRS62. These are the drivers that qualified in Group A earlier on, and sitting down on the front row of the grid on the outside of row number 1 will be Sherry-Ann Powell. Sherry, it was a fantastic start to the day today for you this morning, a fighting drive. What are your thoughts now that it's fully dry? You're on some brand new slick tyres. You looking forward to this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get the tyres in before we start.
So you've got to get those tyres warmed up before you get going again, but then once you've got the tyres warmed up, do you think that you've got the pace to stay ahead of some of the championship contenders that are around you?
Yeah.
You do, and still with a big smile on your face as well?
Yeah, I always have that on.
Always have that. There's Sherry-Ann Powell due to start on the outside of row number 1. Now she's fighting with Lucius McDermott in the championship on the honour of being the second best rookie in the standings. A little bit further back, there we go, we've got a bunch of contenders here all sitting around Jamie's car. Now Jamie, how's your going? Oh, there's Archie. Morning.
Morning.
Or afternoon rather now. How was your first heat race?
It was decent, but then the wet tyres sort of put me off a bit on it. So then I couldn't really drive the car as well as I did with normal slicks on.
Are you obviously much happier now that you've got slicks on and the track's fully dry? It's still very, very slippery out there. Is there any bits that you're particularly worried about?
I think the second corner I'm a bit worried about because that was the greasiest on the last heat. So I think it might have dried out now from all the sessions.
And what are this lot giving you advice for or not? Are they causing trouble?
I think they're giving me confidence.
Good. Go on then, Archie. What are you saying to him then?
Oh yeah, you're going to do well, buddy.
Going to do well, buddy. Well, that gives you a great idea of the sort of the camaraderie and the real spirit that we've got here between the DRS62 class. Some of these drivers, they're fighting for a national title this afternoon, and yet they've still got time to wish their rivals good luck and have a good laugh. All good sporting spirit here, which is the kind you find in the Daniel Ricciardo series. Paddock, good luck to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
There we go. Now, we'll go back to the studio to pick up the racing starting very, very soon. So there is the view of the unique backdrop to the Hooton Park circuit here at Ellesmere Port. Just heard from a group of very excitable young DRS62 contenders, and we'll be going out for their next race very shortly. So this is the Prix A Grand Prix in DRS62. The drivers that were in qualifying Group A for Heat 1, they have now got their 3rd point scoring event of the day. So traditional karting sort of format. This will be the points they're going to score for heat number 3, and it's going to be number 104, Finley Watson, starting on the pole position. You can see Finley there. He came into today just 2 points behind Aidan Hassan. Now Finley won the heat, only 4th fastest in qualifying. Aidan Hassan has got a perfect point score so far today. So Finley Watson is scrambling and scrabbling to try, and all he can do, because 3 other championship contenders, Jamie Gurney, Aidan Hassan and Archie Herron, in the next group, all he can do is win this race, score maximum points, and then hope that somebody takes points off his title rival. Sherry-Ann Powell on the outside of row number 1 in kart number 76. See Sherry-Ann there. Big smile as always when I just spoke to her out on the grid. There she gives the camera a wave. Of course, this commentary going out not only on the live stream on the Daniel Ricciardo series Facebook page and YouTube channel, but also courtesy of our live stream partners, Alpha Live. their website and social media channels. It's also going around the paddock here at the Daniel Ricciardo series. And what I would say is that that interview we saw there with some of the drivers, the DRS62 runners, as in all the classes, the sportsmanship, the camaraderie, the friendship in this paddock is unlike no other that I've experienced in British karting or even world karting. These drivers, they're going for a championship. This is the last round of the season, the last afternoon of the championship. Some of these drivers will be back next year in DRS62. Some will be moving up to DRS100. Some will be moving on to pastures new completely. But despite all that, they are all good friends and wishing each other luck. And that comes across, and you see it in the racing itself. Obviously, it's very competitive. Obviously, there are bumps and occasional incidents and bumps and bashes, but all the way through the field, up and down, good, hard, clean racing. And that is perhaps the biggest success of all of this championship in its first year under the Daniel Ricciardo Series moniker. Here we go with the starting grid. Pole position, driver number 104, Finley Watson, and driver number 76, Sherry-Ann Powell, on the outside of row number 1. Row 2, Lucius McDermott in kart 91 and Jamie Scott in kart number 9. Freddie Cox starts kart 24 from 5th in the grid alongside Aaron Mensah, with Ewan Scott and Archie Pitts-Drake on row number 4. Row 5, Harry Bartle and Thomas Spearing. Row 6 will be Jasmine Taylor and Adam Bourne. Row 7, Oliver Harrison and newcomer Owen Keenan, straight out of the DRS Young Driver Academy, which takes place on a Saturday morning of each round for the youngsters. When they complete the academy, they get a chance to try and race if they want to, if they can get up to the minimum speed. That is what young Mr. Keenan has done, and here we go onto the second rolling lap. So Finley Watson had a tough opening couple of laps to the heat race, eventually managed to emerge with a comfortable win as Lucius McDermott and Sherry-Ann Powell fought amongst themselves. This race again, 8 minutes plus 1 lap race. Now wait to see if we get a clean start this time around. We've still got 1 or 2 drivers at the back of the pack trying to close in on the leaders. They are coming out and they'll go around again. You can see Andy Cox there on the left hand side of your screen, hand in the air saying, right, 1 more lap. So Vinnie Watson in kart number 104. You can see the difference for those of you that are just tuning in. The drivers with the black plates and white numbers, of which there are a lot in this race, they are the rookies, the championship rookies, their first full season in this Daniel Ricciardo series, of course, which went by a previous name the year before, the Beryl Art series. So it's not a new championship, it's a new series in terms of the name and the fact that we have current Renault Formula 1 driver Daniel Ricciardo spearheading this, who made an appearance, spent the day with us at Wilton Mill earlier this year, and who does keep fully up to date on the activities in the championship, both on and off track, despite the fact that he's busy driving his Formula 1 car all around the world. But here we go. Finley Watson brings the field into turn number 7. This is Group A, the Prix A Grand Prix. Sherry-Ann Powell on the outside of row 1. Lucius McDermott with that green crash helmet on the inside of row number 2. Jamie Scott in kart number 9 on the outside of row 2. They come into the tram lines. Lights are out. We're racing. Watson takes a good lead. McDermott slots into second place. Sherry-Ann Powell does a crossover move to get to the inside and picks up 3rd position. Is that? Oh, let's have a look there. No, she's down to 4th place with Scott up into P3. We're all through turn 2 cleanly now, down towards turn number 3. This is the first time all day that the drivers have been on slick tyres in the DRS62 class. So a lot of brand new slick tyres. They've tried to get them a bit up to temperature during the rolling laps, and now they'll be getting them fully up to temperature now. But it is Watson who leads, McDermott in a strong second, Then it is Scott third. Sherry-Ann Powell is fourth. Already a gap developing back to Freddie Cox, running in fifth position. Out of turn number 7, onto another lap. Watson, McDermott. In fact, Lucius McDermott keeping Finley Watson under a bit of pressure coming out of turn number 2. Scott is there in third place. That's Jamie Scott. We've got Ewan Scott in car number 92. He's running in a very strong 6th place at the moment, just behind Freddie Cox and in front of Aaron Mensah. Harry Bartle is up into 8th position. Then Archie Pitts-Drake is 9th. And Lucius McDermott having a little look up the inside of Finley Watson for the race lead going into turn number 4 there, the 9-year-old from Haywood. But Watson holds him off now into the S's. Under braking for turn number 7. Again, a very tight entrance to the corner from Lucius McDermott, who gets a good run off the turn as well. He's in Watson's slipstream, but Watson is able to open up the gap coming down the main straight. Jamie Scott there in third place in cart number 9. The 10-year-old from Northwich is keeping a watching brief. Sherry-Ann Powell doing a good job to hang on to 4th place, and a gap opening back up to 5th position as Freddie Cox defends from Ewan Scott, Aaron Mensah and the rest. Sherry-Ann Powell sets a new fastest lap, however, 43.826 seconds, as she tries to slipstream and to just stay in the slipstream of the 3 drivers in front of her. Jamie Scott looking aggressive there at turn number 4, but Lucius McDermott is able to hold him off, and now Sherry-Ann Powell closes up to Scott. Is she going to make a move going at turn number 7? Not this time. Again, McDermott tight on the entrance to turn 7, tight on the exit, chasing Watson down the main straight onto another lap. It's Watson, McDermott, Scott, Powell, then Cox, Mensah, Ewan Scott, Bartle, Pitts-Drake, Yasmin Taylor, Spearing, Bourne, Harrison and Keenan. Keeping an eye there, Owen Keenan in cart number 116 still out there. He's a little bit off the back of the pack, but this is great experience for him, just learning how to control race paces. Powell looks to the inside of Jamie Scott going into turn number 4. I think that Jamie Scott around the outside was able to hold on there. There's the number 119 cart of Archie Pitts-Drake trying to hold off the 127 of Harry Bartle. That's the battle for 8th position. There go the top 4 side by side for 5th place. Here's almost side by side for 3rd. There is Sherry-Ann Powell. Look to the inside of Jamie Scott. Freddie Cox in 5th. And Lucius McDermott to the inside for the race lead going to turn number 3. Can't get the cart slowed down in the apex. He's side by side. He's got the inside line for turn number 4. Can Watson go around the outside? Yes, he can. Oh, great move there from Finley Watson. McDermott had the inside line for turn number 4, but on a track that has been slippery all morning, Finley Watson, knowing that his title chances depend possibly on him winning this race, he hangs on to the lead. McDermott has to slot back in a second. Jamie Scott still 3rd. Sherry-Ann Powell still 4th. So we've got races within a race here, because Powell is trying to get ahead of McDermott for the honour of being the 2nd best rookie in the standings. They're fighting over 8th and 9th in the overall championship. And Jamie Scott, 6th in the standings. He also wants to make sure that he stays in that top 6. But Finley Watson continues to lead. Now behind them, a couple of drivers, with the drivers spinning there at the exit of turn number 3. Looks like it is now Aaron Mensah into 5th position. Freddie Cox in cart number 24 is 7th. So it's the 106 of Mensah in 6th. Freddie Cox is 7th. Now a little bit further back, I think it was Ewan Scott there, but it's now Archie Pitts-Drake. So Ewan Scott's had a spin. It was Scott who spun at turn number 3 last time around. 3.5 minutes to go. Here come the leaders in towards turn number 3 now. A 4-cart battle. It's Watson in the 104, McDermott in the 91, Scott in the 9, Sherry-Ann Powell in the 76. Into turn number 4 we go. Mensah is 5th, Cox 6th, Pitts-Drake, Spearing, Scott's back to 9th, Bartle is 10th, Taylor 11th, then Harrison, Bourne and Keenan. That's your running order. Adam Bourne has also had a spin and has dropped back to 13th position, but nothing to choose between the top 4 as we complete lap number 7 with under 3 minutes to go. Lucius McDermott sitting in Finley Watson's wheel tracks going through turn number 4, and there's a spin for Harry Bartle in cart number 127. So inexperience there coming through there. Harry's first appearance in the championship. It's now McDermott under pressure for 2nd position. Marshall running to retrieve one driver. You can see another driver at the outside of turn number 4 there is also pulled off at the side of the circuit. That is number 118, Oliver Harrison. But it is Watson from Dover in Kent, 11 years old, leading McDermott from Hayward. Then it is Scott and Powell, 3rd and 4th. So still nose to tail between the top 4. Coming out of turn 2, up towards turn number 3. Jamie Scott to the inside for McDermott on 2nd position, takes the spot. They're coming up on some slower traffic as well. That would be Oliver Harrison, who's got back in the race. McDermott now fending, looking for 3rd place. We've got another driver stopped coming out of turn number 3. 90 seconds to go. Watson still leads, but Watson leads McDermott and Scott squabbling over 2nd place. Powell is 4th. Sherry-Ann Powell doing a great job. Scott now passes McDermott. Just 0.3 of a second separate the top 2. We start lap number 10. In the top 4, no turn. In fact, McDermott and Powell side by side now. Sherry-Ann Powell trying to get ahead of Lucius McDermott. I think she's just about done it. Up at the front, fastest lap for Jamie Scott, 43.203 seconds. Apologies to you watching at home if we've had a loss of picture here, but at the circuit, it is still Finley Watson leading Jamie Scott and Lucius McDermott. .30 to go. The top 4 go down towards turn number 3. Still nothing to choose between them. Jamie Scott challenging for the race lead. Now into turn number 4. We've got Scott takes the lead from Watson. McDermott is 3rd. Powell is 4th. Jamie Scott in cart number 9 grabs the lead. The clock is about to strike 0. Out of turn number 7. It's side by side. Watson has the lead back to the inside line through turn number 1. McDermott moves into P2. Powell up to 3rd. So Jamie Scott drops back from 1st to 4th at the start of the final lap. Down towards turn number 3 we go. Apologies for those who lost live stream picture. But at the circuit, we have got Finley Watson, who has just about done enough. Into turn number 4 now. McDermott and Powell, 2nd and 3rd. Scott back to 4th. Up the infield straight towards the S's. 1 corner to go. Checkered flag is going to wave very shortly for number 104, Finley Scott, who takes the victory. So Finley Watson, apologies. Finley Watson, who takes the victory from Lucius McDermott 2nd, Sherry-Ann Powell 3rd. The top 4 separated by just over a second there. Scott led into the final lap, got hung out to dry a little bit on the exit of the first corner. Apologies for those of you that are watching the live stream who've lost picture, but 104, Finley Watson takes the race victory. And a great 4-kart scrap for the victory in DRS62 Prix A Grand Prix. And Finley Watson doing all he can to keep his title hopes alive. The rest of the field coming back towards Park Fermi. Behind the top 4, it was Finley Watson, Lucius McDermott, Sherry-Ann Powell and Jamie Scott. Aaron Mensah finishes in 5th position ahead of Freddie Cox 6th. Archie Pitt Straight comes home in 7th. Thomas Spearing in 8th. Ewan Scott 9th. Jasmine Taylor rounds out the top 10 ahead of Harry Bartle, Adam Bourne. Owen Keenan finishes 13th with Oliver Harrison down in 14th place. Sadly, Oliver failed to finish. And his kart is being retrieved from the tyre, well, on top of the tyre bar. I think it was a mechanical failure. His kart at the exit of turn number 4 is down well, he finishes 14th in that one.